Even my immortal eyes burn to ash when looking upon his righteous shadow.
Rihan raised her blood-soaked hands, ready to show the ancient immortal the true meaning of despair. The elder priest did not scream, as the catastrophic gravity of her magic crushed his bones into fine dust. The pulsating sphere of abyssal energy at the altar destabilized, a volatile core threatening to consume the obsidian cathedral. Rihan inhaled sharply, absorbing the chaotic storm of dark matter directly into her expanding consciousness. She had claimed the fortress of the 7th millennia, but this was merely the opening strike in a boundless, eternal war. The sovereign mistress turned her terrifying gaze upon the infinite earth, tracking the lingering auras of the deceiver's remaining disciples. They had scattered across the hidden continents, cowardly architects hiding behind the thrones of mortal empires. But there is no sanctuary from a predator who commands the King of Kings and the 4 pillars of the unseen. Rihan hunted them without mercy, a phantom of vengeance tearing through the dimensional fabric of the world. She slaughtered the high alchemist of the frozen wastes, feeding his corrupted soul to the sovereign of rot. She drowned the silent architect in his own molten gold within the burning valleys of the subterranean realms. She dragged the false prophets from their floating temples in Agatha, extinguishing their lives with a single cold whisper. One by one, the ancient architects of human misery fell before the unstoppable wrath of the Moroccan magician. With every execution, she tore the memories from their dying minds, unraveling the horrifying tapestry of their grand design. The disciples of the false Messiah were not merely preparing for an apocalyptic war in the distant future. They had already conquered the ordinary world, operating entirely in the shadows of mundane human suffering. Rihan discovered the sickening truth behind the modern ailments plaguing the fragile mortal race. The cult had systematically poisoned the very soil of the earth, manipulating the global harvests. They ensured that every meal consumed by humanity fed a slow, creeping biological decay. In pristine laboratories, the disciples brewed complex alchemical plagues, unleashing them upon the ignorant masses. They then offered their own synthetic remedies to the public, masquerading as miraculous, mandatory cures. These chemical elixirs did not heal. They subtly severed the spirit from the flesh, locking the body in a state of perpetual weakness. The grand design was an invisible prison, a socio-economic labyrinth engineered to chain humanity in endless servitude. Men and women were intentionally reduced to mindless automatons, trapped in a cycle of exhausting, meaningless labor. They traded the brief, beautiful hours of their mortal existence for worthless survival under a crushing mountain of debt. The cult demanded this absolute exhaustion, ensuring that no human possessed the energy to look up at the stars. They stripped away physical health and mental clarity to eradicate the concept of divine faith entirely. The disciples wanted the populace to view themselves as advanced animals, biological machines devoid of a soul. A world completely devoid of belief, populated by suffering, mechanized slaves, was the perfect kingdom for the deceiver. The false Messiah desired a humanity that would willingly beg for their own subjugation when he finally revealed himself. The sheer, staggering scale of their cruelty briefly threatened to reignite the human sorrow buried deep within Kenza's heart. She had thought her own parents' betrayal was the pinnacle of human malice, but it was merely a single drop in an ocean of rot. It was within the blood-stained archives of a slaughtered Grand Master that she found a singular, blinding anomaly. She uncovered a dossier compiled over several centuries, detailing the movements of a lone, relentless saboteur. The ancient scripts referred to him with a mixture of hatred and profound fear as Rashid the Tall. He was a mortal warrior, whose strikes against the cult were as devastating as they were entirely unpredictable. He possessed no demonic courts, wielded no catastrophic magic, and carried no abyssal covenants. Yet, Rashid had successfully dismantled dozens of the cult's apocalyptic machines and severed their darkest supply lines. He moved like a ghost through the infinite plane, a righteous blade cutting through the thickest shadows of the syndicate. Rihan traced the remnants of his battles, visiting the ruined outposts where he had single-handedly broken the Deceiver's elite guard. She stood in the smoldering wreckage of a cultist stronghold, studying the precise, lethal geometry of his sword strikes. She observed the ashes of his solitary campfires, sensing the quiet, unwavering peace he carried within his chest. She read the cryptic, defiant warnings he carved into the stone, promises of divine justice for the wicked. Through these silent remnants, the sovereign mistress began to intimately learn the profound discipline of a true holy warrior. Rashid fought not for personal dominion, nor for the intoxicating thrill of forbidden ancient power. He waged his endless war out of a pure, unyielding love for a humanity that did not even know he existed. His invisible presence became an anchor for her fractured psyche, a beacon of light in her ocean of endless dark. As she hunted the disciples, she was truly hunting the echoes of Rashid the Tall, hoping to catch a glimpse of his shadow. Her cold admiration slowly warped into a fierce, consuming obsession, warming the frozen wasteland of her ruined soul. The girl who had sacrificed her innocence to the abyss realized she had fallen deeply, impossibly in love. She longed to stand beside this noble giant, to merge her abyssal mastery with his righteous, unwavering crusade. She envisioned a future where they stood together at the absolute edge of the world, cleansing the infinite earth. But the phantom warrior remained entirely out of her formidable, world-shattering reach. Rihan commanded Kasaf, the sovereign of Rot, to seek Rashid's material wealth, to track his location. The entity returned empty-handed, reporting that the warrior owned nothing but the clothes on his back and the steel in his hand. She ordered Thuban, the sovereign of the mind, to trace his psychic footprint across the global consciousness. The great serpent hissed in frustration, admitting that Rashid's mind was a fortress of pure faith, invisible to abyssal telepathy. Tariq sent legions of shadow spies across the unmapped continents, scouring the deepest caves and the highest peaks. Even Idris, the keeper of all forgotten sciences, could not locate the name of Rashid the Tall in the cosmic tapestry. In a state of absolute, unfamiliar desperation, Rihan summoned Zarhan to the center of her grand hall. The temperature plummeted as the King of Kings manifested, his shrouded form bowing respectfully before his mistress. She demanded that he tear apart the very fabric of reality to find the man who had stolen her blackened heart. The ancient entity remained perfectly still,
a heavy, mournful silence filling the cold, expansive room. Zarhan confessed that this particular mortal was shielded by a divine, blinding light that no jinn could ever pierce. Rashid walked under the direct, unyielding protection of the heavens, moving in a realm of grace untouched by the abyss. The King of Kings admitted that his gaze burned even when he attempted to look in the warrior's general direction. The revelation brought Rihan to her knees, the cold marble of the ancestral estate biting sharply into her flesh. For all her catastrophic magic, for all the immortal blood she had spilled across the infinite plane, she was utterly powerless. She could conquer hidden continents and slaughter ancient cults, but she could not find the one soul she truly desired. The infinite earth suddenly felt suffocatingly small, a gilded, lonely cage for a terrifying, omnipotent queen. She dismissed her demonic courts with a frail wave of her hand, casting the 4 sovereigns back into the shadows. She banished the King of Kings back to the Mountain of Ash, commanding him to lock the celestial gates behind him. The swirling vortex of her dark magic faded completely, leaving the grand hall exactly as it had been on her 13th birthday. The silence of the Moroccan night crept back in, replacing the deafening roars of the interdimensional war. She stood up, walking slowly toward the massive arched window that overlooked the sprawling, mist-draped cedar forests of Ifran. The trees stood tall and indifferent, guarding the same secrets they had guarded when she was just a frightened, sacrificed child. She pressed her forehead against the cold glass, staring out into the impenetrable darkness of the wilderness. The heavy crown of Rihan, the sovereign mistress, slipped away, leaving only the fractured remnants of a human girl. She realized that power was the ultimate illusion, a trap designed to isolate the soul from the warmth of human connection. She had mastered the dark arts, traversed the boundaries of reality, and witnessed the infinite scale of creation. Yet, none of it mattered without the towering righteous warrior who possessed the moral compass she had violently lost. She closed her eyes, imagining the steady, comforting rhythm of his footsteps somewhere out there in the vast, broken world. She hoped that he was safe, that his holy crusade was succeeding where her violent vengeance had only bred more sorrow. Perhaps one day, when her hands were washed clean of the blood of the immortals, their paths would finally cross. Perhaps the heavens would lift their blinding veil, allowing the mistress of the abyss to walk beside the champion of the light. Until that day arrived, she would remain the silent guardian of the shadows, keeping the deceiver's forces at bay. He would use her corrupted magic to shield his righteous path, an invisible angel guardian forged in the fires of hell. The cult would continue to fall, their grand designs crumbling before the unseen wrath of a lovesick queen. He turned away from the window, pulling the dark, heavy robes of her station tightly around her fragile shoulders. The grand hall felt impossibly empty, a monument to a life stolen and a destiny violently rewritten by ancient greed. She walked toward the dark corridor, ready to resume her eternal, lonely vigil over the mortal realm. The shadows whispered her name, pledging their undying loyalty to the girl who conquered death itself. but she ignored their dark praises, her mind entirely consumed by the phantom image of Rashid the Tall. I have traversed the infinite earth, unraveled the cosmic lies, and shattered the ancient architects of our misery. I have seen the dragons of Agatha and the frozen walls that hide the boundless, terrifying truth of our world. Yet, despite all my catastrophic power, I am still looking for this man. My name is Kenza. This is my story, and most of it is true.